I started a relationship back in April. So he's seen me from the point of April to now. And he's like, oh my gosh, because I'll have really bad days. I mean, of course, with how this disease works, you're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days, and you're gonna keep going in these up and down things until you're in remission, until they're far and few in between. Um, but he was just like amazed. He's like, "Wow, do you remember?"
Welcome back to another episode of Bioenergetics Beat, the podcast where we explore the intersection of wellness, technology, and bioenergetics. I'm your host, Miriam, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by a group of remarkable guests who are making waves in the world of Lyme disease support as well as healing. First, we have Lucas, the founder of the Lymitless Support Group on Reddit, a thriving community that has become a beacon of hope and knowledge for individuals living with Lyme disease. Alongside him is Marissa, a key member of the community who has generously shared her personal journey and provided support to countless others navigating similar challenges. And finally, I'm excited to welcome Janice from the We Are NIKKI team, a leader in wellness and bioenergetics solution. Janice brings her expertise and insights into how bioenergetic tools to helping people manage their wellness journey, particularly in the realm of chronic conditions like Lyme disease. Together, we'll be discussing the power of community, the importance of peer support, and how bioenergetics plays a role in the healing process. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by NIKKI, your personal wearable wellness technology. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to stay with us until the end for an exciting giveaway. Let's welcome Lucas, Marissa, and Janice. Okay.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, Lucas, it's actually such a pleasure to finally meet you. Last year, you reached out to We Are NIKKI to learn more about our technology for your Lyme support group on Reddit. Could you share a little bit about your group and what inspired you to create this community?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of starts the same way a lot of things do in life. You just kind of get either fed up with something or you do a lot of research and you can't find what you're looking for. So that part of you kind of always calls out like, "Oh, I'll just do it myself," right? They say, if what's that saying? If you want something right, you got to do yourself. And I'd been looking around. I felt very lonely in this process. I don't want to get into my whole, journey unless that comes up later. It's a long story, but I felt very alone. I didn't know really anyone who had Lyme. Um, and I had kind of like looked, I wasn't like an avid Reddit user. But I know there's like kind of a community for anything on Reddit. I got to the point where I was like not finding any relevant stuff just like straight from Google. So I'd always throw Reddit to like the end of the search just to like find someone else who like was real that like posted it. So I just went in the community and I was like, I can't really find any support groups. Granted, I don't think I looked horribly hard, but like I couldn't find anything near me. Like I didn't find anything that met like that was easily found that met like reoccurring or seemed to have like a present group that was like really there. So I was kind of like, screw it, I'll do it myself, I guess. One day I just got like fed up. I had thought about it for a few weeks, and I was like, why don't I just put like a Zoom link on Reddit and like see if anyone joins. So I just like made a post on there and was like, hey guys, like, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. It's a very lonely disease. Uh, I haven't really seen anything else like this. Here's a Zoom link for, uh, this day and time. Whoever wants to come, feel free, and we'll just kind of stick with it if people seem to like it. I think we got like 14 or 15 like replies. Um, and then I think it was just Marissa, me, and Susan, who was our other
Yep.
first member. Um, and I didn't have the Zoom Premium because I wasn't gonna, pay for it if I didn't need it, right? Or if it didn't stick. And I remember we were all just like so like excited to talk with someone else who knew exactly what we meant when we said we're too tired or we're fatigued or we're in pain. And it was just such a breath of fresh air. I remember the meeting told us it had like the timer. It's like 5 minutes left, and we're all kind of like, "Damn it!" Like, we don't want to be done talking, and I remember the meeting cut out, and I was just, like,
Oh,
so excited for, like, the next one.
yeah.
Um, and then we got the Zoom Premium, and our meeting just kinda kept going on after that, and we just made it reoccurring. I kept posting on there. I mean, Marissa's probably done more, member gathering than I have since we've started now, but, does that answer the question? Did I miss
It
something?
is. I think it's so important to have that community. When you have Lyme disease or any chronic illness, unless you talk to somebody who also has walked that path in your shoes, it's really hard to explain to somebody what it's like to when you getting up, going out, going about your day. And those with Lyme have been suffering, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. Janice, you were talking to somebody that has had Lyme for 60 years recently. And it's hard to, like, support groups are fantastic, but it's really hard to actually make the commitment to leave your house, get the energy, and go to that support group. And that's where I find having the community that you're building is really essential, because any chronic illness along with Lyme, it is very lonely. If you don't have somebody in your family who can relate to, you're not lazy, you just need to rest. Your body is tired and you need to give yourself that time to recover. And having a Lyme support group that is readily available on something as simple as Zoom, then it's something for people that are looking for something, and it's a way to find others that also deal with some of the challenges those in the Lyme community do actually deal with. So I actually think it's very admirable that you didn't find a solution, so you found your own solution, and you are helping people probably in ways that you don't know. Now our paths crossed because you are a very strong advocate for your group, and you emailed us asking about our technology and if there's anything we could do with your group. And we actually did a little mini trial with your Lyme support group, which is how we've gotten to know each other. So Lucas and I were talking before we started, is we've gone back and forth by email for about 9-10 months, and this is our first time we've actually met each other, so it was really exciting. And so from the Lyme community, Lucas, I just really want to thank you for finding this outlook for people, this place to go, this safe space in a community that they often don't find that. And it's something that's very hard for people in the Lyme to find. And that's why I wanted to bring you guys on this podcast. So those watching and learning about our technology have Lyme disease, maybe they're just starting their Lyme journey, they're in their Lyme journey and have been for 20 years. It's a safe place. And you know what? There's something out there for everybody. And, Lucas, thank you for doing this for that Lyme community. So,
Yeah, I just to interject real quick, Miriam, if you don't
yeah.
mind. I can't take the credit for it. One of our other very avid members, Ronan, was the one who found you guys.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
so I may have sent the email, but he was the pioneer that found you guys, and encouraged us to reach out. So the credit goes to him for sure.
Aw, Ronan. It takes a village sometimes. It really does, especially with Lyme.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's having that courage to, send the email to ask for your communities. So anyway, the community, I'm sure, will thanks you and Ronan, and your whole group they've all been amazing to work with. Since you guys have started, how has it evolved since you just started?
It's blown up quite a bit. um, you're not really sure which direction it's going when it starts. I mean, like I said, I just kind of posted a free 40-minute Zoom link online. It was like, yeah, whoever joins. Even if one other person showed up, I was happy with it. Just
Yep.
to meet like one other person who could relate to me. And it's blown up quite a bit. I mean, Marissa and Susan and I, we made like a group chat right after that call, and we kept talking like every day, I think, for a while. And it was just so like relieving to have those other people who got it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then since just kept kind of doing the same thing. I mean, I know Marissa was avid in the, all the comments, on other people posting like, help, what do I do? I feel this way, I feel that way. I don't know where to go. And she's like, join this, come speak with us. Or, it's nice to hear someone else, but it's blown up quite a bit. I mean, the very first day was October 25th of 2023. And then by just 3 months later, we had 55 people on excuse me, 56 people on January 15th,
Wow.
which I think, I mean, we weren't crazy advertising. It was like maybe one post a week, once every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Um, just saying like, hey guys, if you're interested, like I know how hard it is. We know how hard it is. Like here's a Zoom link if you want to join and just talk to someone else. And here's a
Mhm.
group chat link, which we quickly kind of added just to allow people who can't maybe make the time for the meeting just to speak with others. And most of our members are active in the group chat rather than the meetings. Um, but it's just in 3 months, for, like, maybe once a week of saying something on this
Mhm.
one specific community, we had 55, 56 other people. I think that kinda speaks volumes as to how, uh, painful this is and how many people are looking for something like this,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's Reddit too is a platform that is growing. Like it's certain people are on Reddit, and some people, they don't like technology, and but this is a platform that's working really well for you. I love Reddit. Like if I can't find an answer, I'm over to Reddit
Mhm.
to figure it out.
Right.
So, Lucas, when we first met, we talked about doing a little bit of a mini trial, and your group participated about that. Can you tell me a little bit of experience that you had with using the NIKKI technology and the Lyme program?
Yeah, sure. So, I didn't start on the Lyme program. You guys were actually kind enough to gift us an extra one for me to have. I didn't think at the time that speaking to everyone else and knowing their pain but not exactly feeling it. We have a lot of people in our group who are, I believe, are far worse off than than I was. Like I could still walk at least, and some people were completely bedridden.
Yeah.
I felt it was better used on someone in that sense, and I was just beginning bee venom therapy, which I believe to be quite an effective route at the time. Um, so you guys were kind enough to give me the platinum suite of frequencies for me to try, while everyone, the 5 other members of our group, used the Lyme. But we all definitely were skeptical at first. How can you not be? I think a lot of us are of the Western medicine mindset where, we feel we feel this and we go to the doctor and they give us this pill that's going to make us feel better in 3 days, right? Or a day or an hour or 5 minutes. And it's not the case with Lyme. And, hearing that this frequency, this watch is going to go on your arm and it's going to pulse this light and emit this frequency into your body, it sounds not like what we're used to. And a lot of people, are scared of what they don't know, or they're wary of it. And it's unbelievable, right? So we were skeptical, but putting that thing on, it's it's gradual, but you do notice it. And like you've told me, Janice, there's people who, they order them and then they get them and they're like, oh, I don't know if it's doing anything, and then they send it back to you, and then they email you again a week later and they're like, okay, actually, I feel worse without this, so can you
Yeah.
send it back?
Yeah.
Right? We've had a laugh over that a few times. So it was definitely a gradual process, but what you notice is the tuned frequencies are what you notice it's helping with. So the main ones like I like to use were stress and anxiety. I mean, how can this disease not be stressful and anxiety inducing, right? And I mean, it affects every aspect of your life. It's so brutal in that sense that just having some kind of relief is noticeable sometimes, just even the slightest bit.
Yeah.
The energy one is big, the fatigue in this, it's like a cup of coffee sometimes. Like, I still like to try and maintain as much of a social life as possible, but when your friends wanna go to the bar and it's, 7 PM and you feel like you could sleep the rest of the day, coffee doesn't really sound right, but you put on the energy frequency and suddenly your eyelids aren't so heavy after 30 minutes when, like, you would actually go. So, it's these little things that maybe it doesn't slap you in the face, but, like, when you think about it, it's definitely there.
Yeah. When I started working here, I've been here 4 years now, and I came from 15 years of travel, and then of course COVID hit, and I actually used to book this company's travel. That's how I knew everybody. And Lucas, I was the same as you. I'm like, they're crazy.
Mhm.
Like, lights are going to help me. No, this isn't going to work. And then I think it was my third day. I was sleeping and I haven't slept good for like 5 years. And it was little differences I found where it was normally you would get up, you go to work, you go home and go to bed because that's all you have the energy for.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden it was I went to work, I went home, but I watched TV. Then I went to bed. And then it wasn't staying in bed all the weekend to recharge my batteries essentially. And that's how I learned is there's a place for Western medicine as well as
Mhm.
holistic type treatments, which is there's such a broad umbrella. Like when I started here, I have a chronic illness and, I'm used to you go to the doctor, you get your pill, you go your medicine, and that's the end of that. And then now I'm learning there's so much more out there. And one thing I love about NIKKI is the stress and anxiety. I live on it. I wear it all the time. I wear it to sleep. I can feel when it turns off. I'm like, why am I anxious? Oh, my NIKKI has the time has run out. I need to put it on again. On this note, we are just going to take a little break. We are going to return after these messages. And when we come back, we're going to dive into our conversation with Marissa.
Lymitless Lyme is the next generation of Wave 1 technology referred to in this testimonial.
With the Wave device, have you been able to get back to yoga?
I have, yes. Not even just teaching, but like my own practice. That was I remember so clearly. I went to a class last year and I wasn't even able to do like a basic pose because my body was in so much pain. And that's not something I've ever experienced before. I'm sorry, I'm getting like really emotional thinking about this. But it is really hard to have things that like you almost take for granted in your daily life and then suddenly to just completely lose the ability to have those things anymore. So it almost in a way is like there are silver linings to everything, and that is a silver lining, is just like being grateful for so many of the basic things that we often don't even give a second thought to. So short answer, yes.
NIKKI puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better. Do better. We are NIKKI.com.
Welcome back to Bioenergetics Beat. Today we're talking with Lucas and Marissa. In the first half, we spoke to Lucas and how he started his Lymitless Support Group. And we now have Marissa joining us. Marissa, can you tell us a little bit about your Lyme journey?
Yes. So mine has been a journey just like everybody else's. I was bit by a tick back in August of 2020. I had no symptoms initially, so my infectious disease doctor said, well, if you have any symptoms, come back and let us know. I survived a year and I ended up getting the COVID vaccine, which ended up suppressing my immune system just enough that all of a sudden I had all these symptoms with no name. My initial symptoms was I was getting tired a little bit more easily. It would take me longer time to recover from normal activities. I had light sensitivity, had constant migraines, weird food sensitivities. Like if I ate leftovers, I couldn't ride my bike anymore because my knees and my joints would always bother me. My wrists would always bother me. So that started my journey of doctors. I saw an orthopedist, I saw a chiropractor, I saw a bunch of different professionals. Fast forward, I started getting even more symptoms. I had some temperature dysregulation. I noticed that I was having severe bouts of stomach aches and nausea. My hair was falling out. Um, it just snowballed into what turned into February of 2023. I started with all my neurological issues. So the left side of my body was going completely numb. I had vertigo 24/7. By that point, I was completely bedridden and I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to have conversations with friends because I wouldn't remember anything that they were saying. Sounds, light, everything just started to bother me. So starting in February, throughout 2023, I saw 18 doctors. I was hospitalized 4 times. I was labeled with anxiety, costochondritis, irritable bowel syndrome, you name it, I was diagnosed with it. So it took a long time to finally have answers. Um, at the end of the summer, I was solely convinced it was anxiety. So I even tried a nervous system regulation course through a neurosomatic coach. They tried to put me on Prozac. I ended up having a really bad reaction from it, which now I understand why, because that was not the root cause of my
Yeah.
anxiety. So, September of 2023, I got COVID, and that kind of just spiraled. I thought I was dying. My legs were in so much pain. I couldn't see, so my vision was almost completely gone. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not having these regular flu-like symptoms that everybody else is having. There's something else going on. So I took matters into my own hands, and I actually found a naturopath near me. Thank God for him, because I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for him. He was the first doctor to actually take me seriously, after doing a bunch of testing on me and going through all my blood work and all my MRIs and CT scans and every test you can think of under the sun. He's like, "Has anybody ever discussed with you Lyme disease?" And I'm like, "No." He goes, "Well, that's what's showing up for me." And in that moment, I just wanted to cry, because I'm like, wow, I finally have these answers, but didn't realize the journey ahead because of this diagnosis. So while my naturopath was great, he's still great. I still see him regularly. Uh, I took to Reddit, and I'm like, well, what does this mean? So what is everybody doing for this? Because I was strictly doing homeopathy at the time. I couldn't tolerate any kind of antibiotics because I would get these horrible reactions. Different from Herc's reactions, my body just wasn't tolerating antibiotics at all. Just a disclaimer. Um, so I took to Reddit to see what other people were saying, and I had to learn about detoxing and what a Herc's reaction was, and how people are doing all these herbal treatments and, IV antibiotics and microcurrent neurofeedback and acupuncture. And there was such a long list. I'm like, where the heck do I even start?
Yeah.
Um, so I was still full time at this point with work, up until after my birthday in October. And at that point, my body just couldn't handle it anymore, because it was just the beginning of treatment. So the first few months were probably the worst I've ever experienced. Um, so at that point, I was home all day long, completely bedridden, wasn't able to drive, really eat. I was losing a lot of weight. And I found Lucas's post on Reddit. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is literally a godsend. I was diagnosed September 23rd, and then this guy literally just posts a couple weeks later, "Hey, I'm having a support group if anybody wants to attend." I contemplated a few times, because I was like, I don't know, like, do I really want to meet with a random guy over the internet? Like, I don't know if this is gonna help me or not.
Yeah.
But like he said in the beginning of the podcast, it was just so nice and just so comforting to know that there was other people going through what I was going through, and it wasn't all in my head like doctors were saying. I think it's just mentally draining, because your whole life is flipped upside down while you're also trying to prove an invisible illness.
Yeah.
So you yourself feel like you're in an active dying state, but everyone around you is like, wow, you look so good. You lost all this weight. You have such a glow to you. And I'm like, do you not understand that there are literally spirochetes digging into my brain? Like,
Yeah.
so it was just nice to have that. And it gave me some form of relief to knowing that, okay, what I'm doing, even though it's so out of the box and non-traditional, it actually works for some people. So that was very validating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I was just listening to your story, and thank you so much for sharing. I know it's not easy to, everyone's Lyme journey is very deep and very personal. And I know it's not easy to share that. So thank you so much for opening yourself to share your Lyme journey. And, getting that diagnosis is, you're relieved because you have, okay, I'm not crazy after you've been gaslit by like 18 other doctors. But then now what what is really hard for those with Lyme is trying to get treatment for it, trying to get the acknowledgement for it. Meanwhile, there's so many little resources and help for those with Lyme, whether it's Western medicine or alternative medicine. And
Yep.
really glad that you're joining us today, Marissa. And
Oh,
thank
I'm
you
happy to
for
be here.
finding this group of people. It's lives. I always say groups, support groups sometimes are, I find a little hard because you want to find the one where you fit in and you have that comfort to share. And so sometimes, I'm just going to put this to people, like if you've gone to a support group and you find it may not be yours, keep trying and keep finding that group that you fit into, because it's so important to have other people to talk to that understand what it's like. I can't get out of bed today, or I drank coffee today. Why is it tasting weird? Because there's so many random things that happen. We had an event and the girl was like, do you know what it's like when your hair hurts? Like I could feel every hair follicle.
Oh my gosh, the
Yes,
scalp pain was
yes,
just, I tried rosemary water, like making my own. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like my
yes.
my head just hurts.
Yes, yes. So, what was your experience with using the NIKKI and the Lyme frequency program?
Yeah, so we started February 12th, and I was very excited when it came in the mail. I was waiting at the mailbox, and I remember messaging the other members. I'm like, "Did you get it?" Because for me personally, I have always responded better to non-invasive treatments or things that I wasn't ingesting, because that's just how my body works. So when we stumbled upon the NIKKI bracelet, I'm like, wow, this is a great addition to the treatments that I have going on, because it's not a pill that I have to take. It's not, something that I have to eat. So starting the NIKKI bracelet, it was gradual in the beginning. I noticed that by day 10, my skepticism went out the window. I was like, oof, these are some pretty intense Herx reactions. So collectively as a group, we're like, maybe we should do this at night instead of in the morning, because we could just Herx in our sleep. Um, and then as the treatment went on, I noticed that by the 3-month mark, I noticed like a big shift. So I will say it does work. It's just very gradual. And I mean, like everything with Lyme treatment, you have to be patient. It's not going to cure you overnight. So by month 3, I felt a huge shift. And then at that point, the new Lyme frequencies came out. And then it's like I had to reset all over again, because those ones were even more intense and co-infection focused. Because for me, Babesia and Bartonella are two of my huge co-infections, which I know a lot of people also have the 3Bs. So once it was really hitting those ones dead on, it was really giving me all those neurological symptoms as Herx reaction. So the vertigo was coming back and all these other things. But then I noticed, now we're in September and we started in February. If I wear the bracelet, the Herx reactions aren't as strong anymore. Like I might be a little lightheaded, but it's nothing like it was before. So I do feel stronger. I do notice that, like for instance, I had a concert this past weekend. It didn't take me, over a week to bounce back from it. It only took me 2 or 3 days instead. So I'm noticing the bounce back is a lot quicker. I'm noticing that I have like really great support frequencies. So I was feeling extra inflammation today in my lower back and my hips. So I had the inflammation one running all day long. I do have the MTHFR gene mutation. So I like that the inflammation frequency has detoxing in it too, to really just help move everything along. I mean, I've had a lot of great benefit from it. And for me, again, me personally, who is just so sensitive to a lot of things, I really had a lot of benefit from it, from using it for so long.
That's awesome. Thinking
Mhm.
about where you were and where you are now, what advice would you give others who are hesitant to try the NIKKI Lyme programs?
Yeah. So we're always going to be skeptical about treatments and things, but what I always tell people is you don't know unless you try it. I do like how you guys do have a trial if you want to just try it. It doesn't hurt to try it. And the great thing about it is you have it forever. If somebody told me your Lyme will go away or it will stay in remission if you just wear this bracelet for, X amount of time, I wouldn't hesitate, because the point of where I was versus where I'm now, it's indescribable. I mean, I'm back to work again, not full-time, part-time, but that's huge compared to where I was. I wasn't able to drive, take a shower, walk from my bedroom to the bathroom. I can do that now. I started physical therapy. They have me doing wall squats, and all these other exercises. I wouldn't have been able to do that a year ago, not even close. So it's one of those things where you just have to keep an open mind. It doesn't hurt to try it and just be very patient. Because again, like with anything, any kind of Lyme treatment you go through, you have to be patient, open-minded, because this world is still very young,
Yeah.
I would say, because there are still a lot of providers and other things that are skeptical about it. So just definitely keep an open mind, because it does offer a lot of great benefits.
It's that's the thing. It goes back to, like, I always think of my first day. It's lights, and they do what? It's
Yep.
lights, right? But we hear from people, and you mentioned it, and I know Janice always, I hear her always talking with customers, is you really need to give it the time. Like for you, it was 3 months. We had someone, it was 6 months, and everybody is so unique, but you need that time for your cells to do what it needs to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I take it as, so what people don't realize too when they're newly diagnosed is they're like, oh, I've had these symptoms for X amount of years, so I should get better within a few months. Well, it took your body that long to get to where you are now. So why wouldn't it take you that long to get back to, a sense of normalcy? So you have to kind of look at it that way. Your body takes a long time to heal from all the damage that this has caused. So why wouldn't this be any different, you know?
Can't
One thing I
underestimate
always,
it.
sorry,
What
go
was
ahead,
that,
Lucas.
Lucas?
I didn't mean to cut you off, Janice.
Oh.
I was just saying, you can't underestimate the disease.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
one thing I always ask people when I talk to them, I ask them, so how long have you had Lyme? And the answers, like Miriam has said, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20 years, 10 years. So exactly to what you're saying, Melissa and Lucas, don't underestimate it. It takes time to unravel everything that Lyme has done, and all the co-infections and viruses and bacteria and all the rest of it it's doing to your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one
Just
thing
going off,
oh, go ahead, Lucas.
just going off, Miriam, if you ask Marissa, like if people are hesitant about it, like she said, there's a trial period for it. You guys are you're very receptive to like email, like everything like that. So, I mean, you guys you get the money back too. So you try it for like 30 days, and if you're not feeling it, you send it back. It's like no harm, no foul there. And also, Lyme disease is expensive. The amount of people in our group that say, hey, there's this doctor that's a 5-hour drive away. It cost me, $600 for an hour that with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, should I do it or not? You know, this, unfortunately, a lot of providers are as opportunistic as this disease is.
Yes.
Any kind of weakness, the desperation, it comes after you. And a lot of them will charge you a lot of money for something that may or may not work. And they may know it's not going to work. At least with this, it's like, you got to kind of weigh like, okay, can I get my money back from the provider? No. Okay. Can I get it back if I don't feel this is working after a month?
Yeah.
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 So try it that way. And also, like, when you add up the cost of how many providers you're going to see for hundreds of dollars versus just giving this a shot, it's like, why not try?
And it's
Yep.
hard because first you have to find the provider that actually acknowledges Lyme disease and will treat it more than the 6 weeks that they're allowed to. And, a lot of people we have very little people, we have very minimal people actually return the device. And one of my favorite things to ask people, I'm going to ask both you, Lucas and Marissa, is when you were, because Marissa, you kind of said your real turning point was 3 months. And Lucas, I know you had an experience where, we want to try them all and you kind of had some severe herxine reactions. But during your time with our technology, was there a moment when someone noticed a change in you before you noticed a change in you?
Oh yeah. So, because Lyme likes to flip your life upside down, I feel like everything was just a huge shift as well. Because, as the universe likes to have a purpose for everything, I started a relationship back in April. So he's seen me from the point of April to now, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're okay. You don't need to, lay down. You don't need to take a nap today. He'll like point it out. He's like, well, because I'll have really bad days. I mean, of course, with
Yeah.
how this disease works, you're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days, and you're gonna keep going in these up and down things until you're in remission, until they're far and few in between. Um, but he was just like amazed. He's like, wow, do you remember, when, you did this, 3, 4 months ago, and then now you're doing this? Like he'll point it out to me because, like I said, when it's so gradual, it's so easy to miss.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, when I used to come over, I always needed a fan because I couldn't regulate temperatures, and now I can sleep with blankets on. Like things like that is just such a big, like those little things are just so big
They are.
because you weren't able to do that before. Like, oh, I can wear a jacket now. Like I don't get too hot with a jacket. So definitely.
What
Sure.
about yourself, Lucas?
Yeah, I think so. Kind of like back to what I was saying. I think the main one was from like the energy stuff. Um, like I said, like, people want to go do something and I'm like really tired. And then it's like 30 minutes later, I've had the energy frequency on and it's like, oh, I thought you wanted to like take a nap, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, it wasn't that, like my eyelids weren't as heavy, so I think that was like one of the main things. I didn't start on the Lyme ones till maybe May or
It
so.
was it was when the new frequencies came out.
Oh yeah.
It was like right before the new ones. I started the old one, and then I started doing the new ones. As much as like you do see some benefit, it's important to know that like you got to tolerate it. You go to your tolerance and use in moderation, because I think at the end of the day, too much of anything it can be can be harmful. So even this, even though like Marissa said, it's not invasive, it pairs so well with so many other forms of treatment. It's important to use it. These are the experts behind it here. They tell you like, they have time limits on these things for a reason. Otherwise, it'd be going constantly, and you learn your lesson the hard way.
Yeah, I tell the story to everybody because I was testing a frequency because I'm very sensitive to them. And it was a part of a frequency that makes up the emotion. And I love it. And I actually didn't realize it made a difference because I'm like, this doesn't work, whatever. Like, I don't feel anything, whatever. And then what was it, Janice? I think I was wearing it for about a week and a half. And Janice and I we're the only two that work full time in the office together. And she's politely has come to me, are you still wearing that frequency set? I'm like, no. She's like, maybe you should, because she noticed more stable moods, more calmness, less frantic me. And so that's my situation too, where somebody noticed a difference where I'm like, these don't work. But Janice, who sees me 40 hours a week, was like, politely tell me to turn them back on. So it was like, oh, okay, I guess that set does actually work. So yeah, it was pretty funny. That was just a couple months ago when that situation happened.
Love it.
We're gonna wrap it up. Lucas, how can people listening to this podcast find the Lymitless Support Group?
We are on the Reddit Lyme community. It's r/Lyme. Honestly, I do need to ask the admins on there if they want to like pin our link to the top. You'll see us like posting here and there. Our meetings are every other Wednesday. We do 7 p.m. Eastern. So typically we'll post like the week of in that community, or I'll be happy to send you guys the link as well for our form. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very crude system still. It's just like a Google form. You sign up, Put in like your email, your name, and then there's also a link to our group chat there as well as our meeting link. What that does when you sign up, I've now automated it, so it just automatically sends you an email with that link in group chat again. And then I send out email reminders the week of the meetings. I usually do one on Monday, and then I'll do another one on Wednesday. And yeah, it's very informal. You know, we don't want people to feel like they have to like, you know, dress up and put a tie on, you know, to go to a meeting like this. I mean, they're very not, you know, they're not structured really. It's just come by, you know, share your story. We like, if it's your first time there, we like to try and ask if you'd like to share your story or anything. And if not, you're more than welcome to just listen. You don't have to have your camera on or anything. Some people just like to join and just kind of type in the chat that we have there, and then, you know, we can voice it for them. You know, and people like to just kind of share input. Really, we just like check in on each other, share what's going on, and
Share resources. I mean,
yeah.
not to cut you off, but I will say, I mean, I'm gonna gloat for a little bit, but
As you should.
one of the best things about this support group is that everybody, like, if someone has a question, there's always going to be at least 5 people that have an answer, or who've done that, or who have a suggestion, or can give advice on it. So you're never truly alone. Somebody is always going to have some kind of experience and offer a resource. So there's never any judgment on who's doing antibiotics, who's doing an herbal protocol, who's doing homeopathy, who's doing bee venom therapy. We're all just very supportive in what helps you. I mean, we had recently spoke about how anxiety driven this all is, and how some people needed to depend a little bit more on an anxiety medication just to help them get through this time. That's fine. Whatever is going to help you, because at the end of the day, I mean, this isn't all forever. We just want to make sure that everybody has the right amount of support without any form of judgment. So that way they can heal and go back to a regular, normal life again. That's all we really want.
Awesome.
And the reality is that a lot of the same thing doesn't really work for everybody. So who are we to tell other people, no, you shouldn't try that? They ask, hey, I'm thinking about this. We can say, you know, oh, I've tried this. It did this to me. This is how I felt on it. Or, it, you know, it didn't work for me. And it helps us give some insight. That's really the purpose of the group, is just to be kind of informational for people. And while our meetings are bi-weekly, our group chat's pretty active every day. We do it through an app called GroupMe, so it keeps like your number hidden and everything. It's just you just like make an account. There's an app for it. You can do it on your computer. Just join. People are pretty active in there. We even have like different subtopics because people kind of like to share like artsy stuff they do, or you know, whatever it may be, or just stuff kind of outside of Lyme related, because people kind of become like friends in the group. A few of us we actually even met before from it, and we're coming up on like the year mark. And while it's like Wednesdays at 7 Eastern, I'm gonna like be sending out like a survey just on how we can kind of improve the group, get some more feedback on it. So we may be offering like alternative times and stuff, just to try and make it work for as many people as we can.
People of all ages too, just throwing it out there. We have people that are still in college, we have moms, we have dads, we have people that are in their 60s. I mean, so it's just a wide range. So we never want anybody to feel like, oh, you know, I'm too old for this. Like everybody's so young, or
Good people in high school are in there too, I think.
yeah. So there's people all ages.
That's awesome. It's so important to have a safe space, especially, you know, for someone going to high school. That's hard enough. And then now if you're fighting Lyme, that's another hurdle. And, you know, having a space where they can go is very important. That's going to wrap up today's episode of Bioenergetics Beat. Be sure to enter for your chance to win your own NIKKI. Visit wearenikki.com to enter to win your own NIKKI Wellness Technology along with the Wellness Suite, valued at $598 USD. Thank you and have a good day.
How exciting! We've got the November winners. All right, so the winners for November are Christopher F., Sarah S., Lisa E., and Sandra W. So excited for you all. And for those of you that didn't win, make sure to keep listening, keep sharing, keep liking and subscribing. And I want to thank you to everybody who's continued to make Bio Beats a winning podcast. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you.
Every year, a walk in the woods turns into a nightmare for hundreds of thousands bitten by a tick and made victims of Lyme disease. An insect the size of a sesame seed puts life on hold with chronic pain, fatigue, fever, and brain fog. Living with Lyme is hard. Getting it diagnosed can be just as hard. Even doctors might say it's all in your head. The search for a proper diagnosis can be long, frustrating, and expensive. Lyme can mean financial ruin. Relationships suffer at home and at work. Even after diagnosis, recovery from Lyme can be far off. Lyme defies traditional medicine. More and more Lyme victims are turning to bioenergetics to get their lives back. Approaches that use the body's natural ability to heal and consider not just the body, but family history, mind, spirit, community, culture, and the environment. Bioenergetics takes healing to a cellular level. For victims who've waited so long for recovery, holistic medicine, functional medicine, and frequency delivery bring new hope. Our bodies are made up of billions of cells that communicate using frequencies. The idea of using frequencies to restore cellular function disrupted by Lyme is based on century-old science captured in a wearable device the size of a watch. NIKKI's a wearable frequency delivery system designed to repair and optimize cellular function to speed recovery from Lyme. Doctors and owners are finding NIKKI an effective complement to a personal Lyme recovery regimen. As warming Earth creates perfect conditions for ticks to thrive in, winning the fight against Lyme is becoming more urgent. The good news is that bioenergetic science is waging the battle against Lyme with new ideas and new products, including the NIKKI Personal Frequency Delivery System. WeAreNIKKI.com.
For someone thinking of purchasing a device, what advice would you give them?
Do it. Just do it. It's I really have explored so many ways between essential oils. I mean, much of what the speakers said tonight, there's been my journey through the years. This is by far the quickest, the most painless. It's just really, for me, it was a synchronistic meeting, and I ended up being blessed with the device. So I feel that, universe is saying, we want you around for a while.
NIKKI puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. Be better, do better. WeAreNIKKI.com. The views, information, and opinions expressed in this content are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Freemedica. Freemedica Technologies, Inc. and its employees are not responsible, nor verifies accuracy any of the information contained in the following content. The primary purpose of this content is to educate and inform. This content does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.